Hey guys, welcome to Amity Tracks, this extra video that we have here, where we're basically continuing with the album rankings of Bruce Springsteen that we started in yesterday's video. We did 21 through 11, and this video we're doing the top 10. As I explained in that video, some artists just have kind of such a large discography. I think it's better to break them up into more manageable chunks. And so this here we're at the top 10. Some of you guys, if you watched that previous video, you might be wondering, is this guy really a Springsteen fan? Because I did have some critical things to say, but I was talking about the records on the lower end of this. Where here's the love. The top 10. I mean, the reason the reason I'm a fan, right? Is most of these records here. So at number 10, I do have what I feel is, well, no, take that back. Um, let's say the second best record of his in the 21st century, and I think his kind of best rock and roll, best rock record of the 21st century, and that's 2007's Magic. Um, I, I I think this is fantastic. This is one of those rare times where it kind of is the right length. He didn't overstuff. There's not too much filler. It's not too long. It's a tighter, more concise record, and I think his records are better when they're that way. Um, this is a really good rock record. Here's the E Street Band together here. I guess in the previous video I never really talked about them as much, did I? I mean, Danny Federici on organ, uh, Max Weinberg on drums, Nils Lofgren on guitar, Roy Bittan, of course, on piano, Clarence Clemens on sax. There's Bruce. There's Patty Scialfa, his wife, on vocals. Miami Steve Van Zandt on guitar, and Gary W. Talent on bass. Yeah, I don't know. You kind of look at this picture here. It's kind of makes you pause because, as some of you know, two of these people are no longer with us. Right? Danny Federici died from cancer, and of course, the big man Clarence Clemens left us. I think it was a heart attack or stroke or something like that. So yeah, I mean it's kind of a good picture there to look at. But this record rocks, man. It opens with Radio Nowhere, which is anyone alive out there, right? That great question he asks. Man, it just rocks. Living in the future is a well, no. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Your own worst enemy is the one I meant to say. Your own worst enemy. That's one of those, I think, hidden gems of Springsteen's, because it's actually almost got like sort of Beach Boy, Brian Wilson esque arranging. It's really nice, great pop song. Um, yeah, Magic is a nice tune. Long Walk Home. That's one he's sort of resurrected, in subsequent tours. It's just a really solid, tight, sort of modern Springsteen rock album. Number nine. Number nine, we're going back to 1987, and that's Tunnel of Love. And Tunnel of Love is it's a really interesting album because I remember when this came out, it was kind of seen as maybe a disappointment. I mean, it's following in the wake of Born in the USA, that huge juggernaut, right? And this is way more subdued. This is a quieter record. I think Bruce purposely wanted to tone it down a bit. And these are he had recently been married, and so these are songs sort of about relationships. But there's a lot of darkness in here, a lot of doubt, which I think it wasn't surprising when soon after this his marriage broke up, right? He went off with Patty Scialfa, who he is still married to. But yeah, this is interesting because when this came out, it was seen as kind of a disappointment in some areas. or some quarters. I remember, I don't know why this sticks with me, but there was the title of one of the reviews was "Bored in the USA." um, but this has really grown in stature. It's kind of funny to me because to me it's sort of like, you know, I used to think it was underappreciated. Um, Now I think it's kind of overappreciated. Because it's interesting. You look at some other rankings of I've looked at a lot of rankings of Springsteen stuff just because I like that. I like to look at those. Now, I mean, you see this in the top, 3, 2, 1. Uh, but it is a real. I mean, I got to hear number 9 myself. It's a really good record. It's cohesive. It's very thematic. Um, it's got just a nice flow to it all. And to me, on side 2, there's kind of a streak there of the first 4 tracks. I think are total standouts. The title track to me is one of his most underrated songs in his whole catalog. A great pop song, just awesome song. Two Faces then is great after that. Then Brilliant Disguise, which was a pretty successful single, is a great song. And then also One Step Up. I think those 4 songs in a row to me are the heart of this record, and really really great. I do have some 45s. I've just kind of for fun. I've got the Tunnel of Love 45 here. Now, Springsteen fans always collected his 45s because his B-sides, right? He always had B-sides on there that didn't make the records, and a lot of these B-sides are fantastic. I don't know where the original sleeves of these went, but I do have the One Step Up 45 and the Brilliant Disguise 45 as well, which these were the 3 singles that came from that record. Wish I had the original sleeves of these, but I do have the original sleeve for Tunnel of Love. All right, number 8. We're gonna go way back to the beginning. Number 8, I have his debut, "Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, 1973." I always love the album art, and it kind of opens up like a postcard here, right? There's a young Bruce there on the back. This is an interesting debut in that it's kind of unrepresentative. When Columbia Records signed Springsteen, they kind of thought they had a singer-songwriter troubadour, which later sort of becomes one of his personas. But that wasn't his primary persona in the early days. I mean, he had a killer band. He was a rocker, but I think Columbia Records was, he got stuck with the tag, the next Dylan, right? And so they were looking for the next Dylan, kind of this, folk writer. And so, you kind of see that push and pull on this record. A lot of these arrangements are pretty subdued, whereas some of these songs, like "Spirit in the Night," "It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City," would really just get a lot of grit and energy live over the next few years after this. But they're kind of subdued on this record. "Blinded by the Light," which honestly I've always kind of preferred the Manfred Mann cover of that song. "Growing Up" is an early classic of his. I think one of his great deep cuts is "Lost in the Flood." It's this powerful song. But yeah, these lyrics are, I mean, they're funny. I mean, you can tell, why they kind of tried to tag him as the next Dylan. I mean, these lyrics are just sort of stumbling all over. Just look at the beginning of "Blinded by the Light," right? "Madman drummers, bummers, and Indians in the summer with a teenage diplomat in the dumps with the mumps as the adolescent pumps his way into his hat. With a boulder on my shoulder, feeling kind of older, I tripped the merry-go-round. With his very unpleasing sneezing and wheezing, the calliope crashed to the ground." I mean, it sounds like Dr. Seuss or something, right? I mean, it's but his songwriting would evolve very quickly. All right, number 7. Now, some of you guys might think this is kind of low to have this at 7. I know this is one that a lot of people love. I think it's great. I'm a huge fan. I have it this high, but I do think there's some filler on there. Talking about 1980s The River, double album, and in my view, I think it does suffer from the standard complaint about some double albums. I think it would have made a stronger single, single record if he had picked the right tracks. Here's the thing: I think, in my view, Springsteen often sort of overlooks some of his best songs. you know, if you look at some of these, we'll look at some of these, these outtakes collections that have been released contain some of his best songs. So if he would pick the right songs, this would have been a killer single, I think. But as it stands, I mean, it's a classic. It the darkness that was there on the previous record, "Darkness on the Edge of Town," almost had to be kind of lightened up a little bit here. And dare I say, there's kind of some party numbers on here, right? "Sherry Darling," "Two Hearts," "Ties That Bind," all those kind of rock. "Out in the Street," uh, "Cadillac Ranch," "I'm a Rocker," "Ramrod," right? Just kind of some party tunes. But yeah, he keeps the darkness. I mean, the title track's stunning storytelling, but kind of dark. Jackson Cage is great. "Independence Day," a really touching song about his father, his relationship with his father. "Point Blank" is great. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's got a good mix on here. Oh, "Hungry Heart," I guess that's the big hit off of here too, right? Although the lyrics on that haven't aged quite well. It's sort of almost like celebrating, abandoning your family or whatever. But it's a good tune. It's a fun tune. um, but like I said, some filler. I mean, I don't really need "I Want to Marry You," for instance. You know, and again, the funny kind of frustrating thing is it's a double album. But if you look at this, which is the "Ties That Bind," the River collection, which was this awesome set, and I have this on CD. But basically, kind of all the session from the River. There's like a ton of stuff he left, in the vaults that I think could have made this even a better record. This is a nice set. It comes with one of these great booklets here, mostly just great photos, from the era. That's a great set of photos of Bruce and Clarence there, right? And some nice essays in there. What else we got in here? You got yeah, it's a reproduction of his composition booklet with all the lyrics. And this actually came with 4 CDs, so 2 of the original River remastered. Um, what's interesting is the third CD in there is called "The Ties That Bind," and it was actually a single album that he was going to release, but then pulled back at the last minute, which is it's a good thing he did. It's interesting historically to listen to. But again, he doesn't pick the strongest songs to put on that. And then there's a fourth CD just full of outtakes and songs left in the vault, some of which are really good. So it's just the amount of songs that comes out of this guy, especially in his prime years, is astounding. Now these are fun. Let me show you these real quick. I do have 245s from the River. Um, this is the "Hungry Heart" 45 with "Held Up Without a Gun." Great song as a B-side. And here's the "Fade Away" 45 with "Be True" as the piece. Why he didn't put "Be True" on the River, it would have been one of the better songs. It's such a good song. Like, why does he leave these as B-sides? Anyway, the River. All right, what do we got next? Coming in at number 6 is a bold album, "Nebraska" from 1982. I say bold because there are a lot of artists who like to do something like this now, but back in '82, major artists didn't really do this. Releasing a solo acoustic record, which of essentially what they are is demos. It's a great story. So he was writing songs for his next record, fully intending for it to be a full band album, and these are the acoustic demos. That he was preparing to kind of bring to the band so they could flesh it out and make them into real songs. And supposedly, and this is sort of one of the holy grails for Bruce collectors, Supposedly, there is a full band version of this record that the E Street Band, recorded a full electric full band electric version of this. Uh, we all call it Electric Nebraska. That's one of the things that everyone's hoping he will release someday, which would be great to have. But he thought, and then several other people told him, it's like, these songs are actually kind of more powerful as they are. And so he made the bold decision just to release the demos. So it's a solo acoustic record with just Bruce and acoustic guitar, it's an occasional harmonica, a few little of added instruments, very slightly here and there, but it's essentially a solo acoustic record. Just and again, just incredible storytelling. Of course, Atlantic City is, in my view, one of his greatest songs. So powerful. Deceptively, it sounds like it's not that hard. I've tried to learn it. It's hard to play and sing, at least with the rhythm he does on the original. It's actually deceptively kind of difficult to stay in rhythm on that. Highway Patrolman. Oh, this is a 5-minute song that tells such a detailed story that could be a feature length film, and I think it was. If I remember right, I think Sean Penn made this film. I don't remember what he called it. It was loosely based just on that song, and he sort of expanded it into us. It's like cinematic, you know. State Trooper is real, like, genuinely spooky. It's a good Halloween song. Yeah, it's just, yeah, brilliant, legendary for a reason. All right, coming in at number 5, we have. I'll tighten that up. Coming at number 5, we have the record "Why I'm Dressed This Way." Right, the Juggernaut, the record that made him a superstar in the 80s. 1984's "Born in the USA." I have at number 5. Just, what do you say? Um, pulling out all the stops. Like I said, going for the jugular, reaching for the charts and making it. This had a stunning 7 charting singles off of this record, and it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. It is a little dated in some places, more so than some of his record. I think it's a slight detraction, but I mean, but these songs are still so great. I mean, the singles, "Born in the USA," "Cover Me," "I'm on Fire," "I'm Going Down," "Glory Days," "Dancing in the Dark," "My Hometown," all those were singles off of this record. It's kind of funny because my favorite song on here is not one of those 7 singles. My favorite song off of here is "Downbound Train," which I think is awesome. It's just got that great kind of guitar riff or guitar line in there, and man, it's got that sort of dark groove to it. So good. That's actually a song he's continued to play here and there in the decades since in concert, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, you take a song like "Born in the USA," which has this like triumphant music to it. I mean, so much so that a lot of people who just hear the chorus think it's this jingoistic, patriotic tune. I mean, Ronald Reagan tried to co-opt it. Walter Mondale tried to co-opt it. Both of them in the '84 campaign. Um, but yeah, you look at the lyrics, and it's this sort of this really kind of dark story of of veterans struggling and all that stuff. But man, anyway, "Born in the USA." Got some cool stuff related to "Born in the USA" to show you. I do have all 7 of the singles. Here's "My Hometown" with "Santa Claus Is Coming to Town" on the B side. Let's see here. "Glory Days" with "Stand on It" is the B side. "I'm Going Down" with "Janie Don't You Lose Heart" is the B side. "Cover Me" with "Jersey Girl," which was a cover of Tom Waits, I believe. "I'm on Fire" with "Johnny Bye Bye" is the B side. And these two, I don't know why, but I don't have the original sleeves. I wish I did, but "Dancing in the Dark" here with "Pink Cadillac" is the B side, and then "Born in the USA" with "Shut Out the Light" is the B side. You could almost make a second album just out of the B-sides, from all these singles. Just real quick, we're gonna wrap up the 45s here. The live set, you know, live 1975 to 85, the 5 record live set, which we'll address on the live episode. Some singles from there. I don't know why I have 3 versions of Fire here. But Incident on 57th Street is a B-side on 2 of them, and For You is B-side on the next one, and then War, of course, right? His cover of War. So, all right. One other kind of fun thing from the Born in the USA era, something that would probably be embarrassing to him now, are the dance mixes. Yeah, the extended dance mixes, even of Born in the USA. These are as bad as you would imagine they are. Doesn't really translate great to dance mixes, but they're fun artifacts. I'll tell you that. That was loud. All right, here we go. Number 4. Yeah, I have this high at number 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. I think are 5-star records. Number 4, I do have Western Stars, 2019. I think this is stunningly great. A late career triumph, Western Star. I mean, I just love the album art. I love all of it. This concept album, in some ways, musically at least, he wanted to kind of recreate a record with the sounds of sort of late 60s, early 70s, sort of pop country. A lot of it coming out of kind of California, like the Glenn Campbell. You um, and he nails it. But they're original songs. He's not like covering those songs. I mean, these are original songs, but he wants to do in that style, and I think he just does it brilliantly. Supposedly, some of these songs have been sitting around for a while, but he finally kind of dusted them off and put them together, and just some great songwriting. But more than that, the cohesion of the sound. I mean, the lyrics. Actually, let me grab. I have a sleeve over here with some of the lyrics, like the title track. I love this great story of this kind of washed up B actor. These characters that Bruce does so well, and he's kind of sitting at a bar talking to people about his glory days. And I love this great line. It says, "Once I was shot by John Wayne. Yeah, it was towards the end. That one scene's bought me 1,000 drinks. Set me up, and I'll tell it for you, my friend." It's just, man, it's great stuff. There's such just vivid imagery on this record. If this is one you kind of passed over, or just didn't bother with, I'm going to admit, opinion is split on this. There are some people who don't really like it, didn't think it was great. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I really do. I think it's just awesome. But the top 3 here are the top 3. At number 3, I do have Darkness on the Edge of Town from 1978. Just there's really shift in his songwriting here. Kind of moving away from sort of the epics, that culminated in the previous record, Born to Run, and really kind of streamlining his songwriting. I remember reading somewhere where he said it totally makes sense that between Born to Run and Darkness on the Edge of Town, he stopped writing songs on the piano and started writing mostly on the guitar. And you can tell these are kind of streamlined, more direct songs. There had been a little gap between those 2 records, mainly because of his lawsuit with his first manager, Mike Appel. And yeah, it's just, I mean, maybe his strongest batch of songs. I don't know. Badlands, Candy's Room, Racing in the Street, which is just a stunner. Promised Land, Streets of Fire, Prove It All Night, and the title track. I mean, this is a hell of a record. And the funny thing is, he could have made this a double. He could have made this a triple. Because if you listen to this, The Promise, which is a 3-record set, the Lost Sessions, Darkness on the Edge of Town. These are the extra tracks that it didn't make this record, and some of them are amazing. I mean, I think forget the river. I think this could have been the double. Where you picking the best songs off of here to make the second record. I mean, Fire, Because the Night, which is great, powerful rock song that he actually gave to Patti Smith. It was a hit for her, but his version is here. Um, what else is great? Rendezvous is awesome. The Promise. It's a beautiful song that he should have put on a record. Um, and actually, the title of this collection here. And I think it would have been interesting opening this with The Promise because, hang on, drop my notes here with because it references Thunder Road, and it would have been an interesting echo of that song, I think. But anyway, there you go. All right, coming in at number 2, I've got Born to Run. 1975's Born to Run. Everything classic about this, from the fold out picture here, to Bruce here in the interior. Lyrically, sonically, it's just epic. I mean, it flows together. It's about escape. It's about busting loose. Oh, it's just opening with Thunder Road, maybe one of his great epics. Second side opens with Born to Run. But you got Backstreets on there, Meeting Across the River, which is another great, I think, kind of album track. It's one of those great tales of just those losers, that he writes about so well, that you know thinks he's going to make the big score, but it's this beautiful kind of melancholy piano ballad with this gorgeous trumpet in there. But then the closer, I think, is his most epic song, Jungle Land. I mean, a street opera, multi-part, complex arrangement. Probably the most iconic sax solo Clarence Clemens ever played. Some killer guitar from Bruce. Just strong vocals and lyrics. This is the whole package here, right? I mean, this is what got Bruce on the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek simultaneously. I mean, just he exploded with this record, and he had to, which was interesting because Columbia Records, his first 2 records, didn't do all that well, and so they were about ready to drop him from the label. And they basically, it was kind of made clear to him that you got one more shot, man. This third record's got to be it, and boy, did he deliver, right? But my favorite Springsteen record, my number 1, it's in my top 10 favorite records of all time. It's his sophomore effort, The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle from 1973. I think a key to what makes this record pretty great is this lineup right here. You got Clarence Clemens, you got Danny Federici, you got Gary Talent, Bruce, but these 2 guys aren't going to be on the next record. And I think they really make a difference in the sound. Vinny Lopez on drums, so before Max Weinberg comes aboard, and David Sanchez on keyboards. Max Weinberg's probably a better drummer, but Vinny swings. David Sanchez, he's an amazing keyboardist. A lot more jazz influence than Roy Bittan. And Roy Bittan is amazing too, but different feel. And I think those 2 guys make this record really swing more than any other Bruce record. I think if you want to capture that legendary excitement of live Springsteen in those early days, this is the closest he got in the studio, I think. I mean, this whole thing, 4th of July, Asbury Park is a gorgeous song, kind of reminiscing about, sort of this idealized life on the boardwalk, right? Kitty's Back is really, they stretch out and rock. I think it's cool that Bruce is the only guitarist on here. So, I mean, he's a really great guitar player. He solos with passion. Now Kitty's Back would be expanded, to 20 minutes in concert where they really kind of jammed on that. Wild Billy's Circus Story, one of my favorite story songs of his, where he just vividly paints this picture of this kind of traveling circus show with the freaks and all that, and it's like touching. It's got great music, and it's just fantastic. But I'll tell you, that side two is a perfect side. Three epics in a row, starting with Incident on 57th Street. At times has been my favorite Springsteen song. Again, just one of these great street tales with multi parts and dynamics that go up and down. Goes into Rosalita, maybe his most joyous song, especially in the live setting. And then I think what is his longest studio track ever, New York City Serenade, which just got this, just this mood to it, kind of this sort of late night, I don't want to say jazzy, but, it feels it a little bit. Just that second side is perfect. Yeah, so this might be a record if, you're familiar with, Born to Run and Darkness, Born in the USA, some of the bigger ones. And if you've overlooked this one, I mean, I can't recommend this one enough. This is my favorite Springsteen album, one of my favorite records of all time. We made it. Well, there you go. So that is, in my view, the rankings of Bruce Springsteen's catalog. So tune in tomorrow where we finally wrap up Springsteen week when we talk about live Bruce. It's a whole different animal. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this content. It really helps us out. Hit the like button and hit the bell for notifications. And, well, we'll see you tomorrow.